Hi guys, and welcome to my new channel, All Things Macmillan, where I will be sharing with you my love for faith, beauty, family, and real estate. I'm so excited for you guys to be here and to join me on this journey. So stay tuned. Hi guys, so today's video is going to be such a first of all, are y'all ready? Okay, I am going to be sharing my journey and how I manifested my first home with the help of God, of course. Grab you some tissue, grab you some popcorn. Come on, let's get ready for all of this tea, honey. Okay, so where do I start? March 2019 was actually the month where I decided that, I'm married now. I'm in my 30s. Well, I think at the time I was 30. Yeah, I was 30. Just hitting 30. And I'm like, it's time. Or I was about to hit 30, actually. And I was just feeling like, it's time. I'm ready to be a homeowner. This is something that I've always dreamed about, something that I've always wanted, and this is something that I really desired. So I remember my spiritual sister, I would go to her house. She would send me things that a year prior to this, she went through buying her home and stuff like that. And she would share different tips and different things like that. And she would probably most likely encourage me a little bit. I'll never forget, I went to her home and she showed me her prayer closet. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I want this. You guys know, when you have a 2-story home, there's this little door that's underneath the staircase, where she turned it into a prayer closet, where she would put different prayers and things like that on the wall. I just was so fascinated with that. I was like, oh my God, I want that. I want that deeper level of a connection with God, and I want this in my home. So I remember praying, and see, here's the thing. I wanted to give y'all a little bit of God while I'm kind of telling you guys this, but here's the thing. You can't do anything without him. You can have a vision, you can have of course he gives you the vision, but you can have a thought, you can have an idea, but in order for that thing to be manifested, it gotta kind of be something. You gotta kind of have a relationship with God, where you go to him and you give him your ideas, and then God will then deposit his ideas of what he thinks into you, so that then you can take that thing and then run with it, believe with it, and then it can be manifested. I'm going to explain a little bit more of that throughout the video, but that's just where I was at with it. I was like, I need to talk to God about this, because I'm feeling very passionate about this. And I believe that home ownership is for me. Now, again, my mom never owned a house. I didn't come from a family that owned houses, a mother and father that owned houses. My mom was a single mother, and we lived with my grandmother for most of my life. But I remember, even as a child, even as 9-year-old Phaedra, we would pass by houses, and the game, you would play bingo this and bingo that, and I would be like, oh my God, I can't wait till I'm an adult and I can be able to have these things that I want. At the time, my mom was sickly, and she wasn't able to afford her own home, but that doesn't mean that had to be my story. Okay, so fast forward, because I believed this so much, I prayed and asked God, and I remember seeing these home buying courses. If you get on Facebook, you'll see several different home buyers. It's kind of ironic though, is that you'll talk about something and your phone will automatically start displaying things that you talk about. If you talk about wedding rings, you'll start seeing signs of wedding rings. You talk about houses, you start seeing different things about houses. That's just, I guess that's how Facebook works or whatever. So I started seeing home buying courses, home buying things and stuff like that. So I decided upon this one home buying course, and I would rather not share the name. It worked for some, and anyway. I heard a lot of great things about this home buying course, and I was like, bet, Let me sign up, because I do know that faith without works is dead. Now, I can have all the faith in the world, but if I don't put my footwork behind it, if I don't do what I have to do or what I'm supposed to do to manifest this thing, then it's not going to happen anyway. So I'm like, okay, I don't know the first thing about buying a house at all. All I know is that that's what I want. So let me go to these courses. Let me go to this group meeting and follow these courses and do what I have to do. So I go to this home buying course, and I meet everybody in there. I mean, you got people, there's people lined up outside that's waiting to attend this course. So I'm like, I must be in the right place, because everybody's excited. Everybody wants this. So we get in there, and this lady, she's talking, and I mean, she's a fast talker, and everything sounds amazing. And she's like, you want a home in 6 months? All you gotta do is do this, and I'll get your house in 6 months. So at this time, I'm like, 6 months from now, it'll be September. At home, I think my apartment, my lease was up, I want to say in August or September. So I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that. 6 months. But here's the thing. There are ways that they can kind of milk the cow and I guess the system and do it. But it requires money. And at the time, I think it was like $1,500 to fix your credit. Because first and foremost, when you're buying a house, the main thing they look at is your credit. Your credibility is 100% what they look at first. And at the time, I think my credit, I don't know, I think my credit was far in the 500s, like low 500s or whatever. And so I remember her stating so many times, like, your credit is most important, and if you do this, you got to pay this amount to get this done and get this off your credit, and then you can pay this. Anyway, there were so many different ways of doing things, but it costs money. At the time, we were trying to save up for the house that we wanted, and we didn't have money just to float around, just save up and pay rent and pay this person. Like, we didn't have all that money. So I started thinking, like, it gotta be a way, because I mean, you know how you feel something like it's like, I know it's possible. It has got to be a way, Lord. I need you to show me a way. I remember going home from the meeting and being like, Lord, I need you to show me how. Like, I don't need the details or anything. I just need you to just tell me what to do, because I so desperately want this. And God, if it's in your will, I need you to tell me. I need you to show me how to do it. And the one thing that popped up was, I remember so vividly that he was like, you're gonna have to do this. Like, you're gonna have to do it on your own. Like, if you don't have the money to pay them to do it, then do it on your own. Like, you got this. And I'm like, okay. It's ironic, because throughout my life, when I've wanted something, I didn't always have the means to get it. I didn't always like have that person that can give it to me. And it was always like, Phaedra, you got this. Work hard and let me do the rest. Like, that was just always like my thing with God. Like, he's like, work hard, I got you. So I didn't always know the end result, but I just knew, like, if I work hard enough and he's seen it, that he'll do his part, right? So fast forward. At this point, it's like, I don't know, the 6 months is here. The March through August. So this entire time, I am going to this home buyers club back to back. I mean, every weekend I'm there, every Saturday I'm there, and I'm just thinking, like, okay, Lord, I'm doing this. I'm doing what you say. I'm being responsible. I'm going to these things. I'm working on my credit, y'all. As I was working on my credit, there is credit karma, but what I did learn in this home buying club is there is a app and a online Experian.com. Experian.com will give you your FICO scores, and it will also give you TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian different credit scores. Okay, it also helps you keep a hold of what it is that is on your credit score and what could be removed or what needs to be removed to bring it up. So I started with the easiest things. For me, it was like the medical bills. Half of the things that was on my credit were at my 7-year mark. That's another thing I learned in the home buyer process, that there is a 7-year mark that your things start falling off. If you decide to call them and set up an arrangement with them, what you don't realize is it starts the 7-year all over. So you don't want to call and make an arrangement. you basically want to allow it to fall off, or if it's like a year from there. I mean, they say don't do it, but I called and I made a payment arrangement for several different things on my credit score. And I mean, the balances may have been $2,000. I settled out for like $135. So I got a lot of things, removed off. Even with student loans and things like that, there are so many different deferment plans that you can set up where you pay a little bit lesser, and it kind of helps you out a little bit. But anyway, I remember going step by step with my credit repair. I didn't know exactly what I was doing, but I was taking my time with it. And I kind of followed what she would say. You need to get your medical bills off of there. You don't want to dispute too many things at one time. You want to write your letters to the creditors. You want to check and see if the amount that you actually owe is the amount that they say you owe, because these creditors will sell your balance to they will sell it to another creditor, and then they'll add on their balance. You can then write a letter to the different credit bureaus and let them know that this balance doesn't add up to the balance that you actually owe, and they would have to dispute it. And 9 out of 10, they'll remove it because it's not the original amount that you actually owe. I'll get into that on a different video, but there are so many different ways that you can kind of dispute your credit and stuff like that. Okay, so I kind of did that in the beginning, and I started seeing stuff like falling off. And then she also would tell me, the lady in the home buying process also told me about credit cards, but at this time my credit was not good enough to apply for a credit card. Okay, no credit is almost as bad as having bad credit. Okay, so they want you to try to establish a credit, but you have to know the right credit cards to do that. Anyway, fast forward, I remember going to these home buying courses and home buying meetings, and it felt repetitive. I was going and she was saying the same thing over and over, and like I was coming to a point where I'm like, that's almost September. Like I feel like I'm stuck. Am I in the right, Lord? Am I in the right place? Because I know that I've talked to you, and I know that you've confirmed to me that I will be a homeowner. But am I in the right space where I will be able to become a homeowner? And I didn't have the finances to do what she wanted me to do. So what the lady for the home buying program wanted me to do. So I knew that wasn't a great fit for me. And I remember going to her last meeting, and she's saying, write down all of your goals. And I wrote down all of my goals. And I was just like, why isn't there a program where you could like fix your credit at the same time? And while I'm fixing my credit, I could be building my house. You know what I mean? Like, I need something to look forward to, not just all of the promises. I need a goal. I'm one of those people that are like very goal oriented. Once I know what's at the end for me, I know I work my way up to making it there. You understand what I'm saying? So like, I'm very goal oriented, and I'm like, what's at the finish line for me? All I know is that you're telling me that you're going to promise me something, but here I am 3 months almost from September, and it still I haven't gotten any closer to it. So I remember saying, okay, this is going to be my last day, and I'm gonna have to do this thing myself. And I'm gonna trust that God's going to figure this out. Now, again, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to trust. I remember the scripture, Jeremiah 17:7. Blessed is a man that trusts in the Lord and whose hope is in the Lord. Jeremiah 17:7. It's very important that when we're going through different situations in our life, that we lean on Him, that we lean on His understanding and not our own. Because when we lean on God, He makes things so much clearer. I'm about to cry, but anyway, so I'm at work as most of you guys know. At the time, I was a hair braider, so I'm at work, and one of my customers comes in, and I was just telling her about, how my passion of wanting to be a homeowner and wanting to have a home, like I can see it. I remember telling her, like, God gave me visions of dark wood floors and white doors, but at this moment, I'm like, look, I'll take anything, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not tripping, but it's also where I'm also at like August, right? It's like August, September, so I'm like, you know what, at this point, I'm just gonna rent, because I know I'm not gonna be able to own by September, but I'm gonna rent. And while I'm renting, you know, I'm gonna continue to work on my credit and move forward. So funny how we make plans and God laughs at them. Like, yeah, okay, you can go rent, daughter. Yeah, I want you to go rent and then try to get you a house. Like, how are you gonna try to go rent a house and save money to buy a house? How? Right? So she's like, oh, you know what? I have a realtor. I'll introduce you to him, and then I'll see if maybe he can find you a rental house or whatever. I'm like, fine, because I've been trying to find one, you know, myself for the past couple of days, and it ain't working. So she introduces me to her realtor, and he tells me to meet him. Now, he didn't give me a subdivision name. He just gave me the street. So I pull up on the street, and I'm like, I think this is the same subdivision that my spiritual sister stays in. And I'm like, it looks familiar. It's like, I'm not sure, because I don't remember coming in this way. Anyway, we go inside, and I'm like, hey, I was looking for a rental house. And he's like, yeah, I know that you said that, but I was just trying to see, had you tried your luck with buying a house? I didn't ask you that. I did not ask you I did not tell you that I wanted to buy a house. I specifically said I wanted to rent, because I'm not ready, okay? I'm not ready. But just because we're not ready doesn't mean God's not ready. So we go into this place, and we go into this, you know, the little model home or whatever, and they're telling us all kind of things. Okay, this is what you need. Da, 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 da. So I'm like, okay. But I'm thinking, we wasting our time. So like, you want to go see the house? I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do it. So we go and tour the houses, and we've seen 4, 5, 6, 7 houses. I'm like, oh yeah, I love this house. But now at this time, like, I don't want to get my hopes all up, because I know we can't do, you know, in my mind, I'm thinking like, it's not even possible. I know where my credit was at, and it's not possible. I know I need 700, you know, credit score to get a house. That's what people have said. So that's what I'm, you know, believing. So anyway, we get back into the office, and she asks me, do you want to run your credit? I'm like, no, because my credit is not where it needs to be. I know that already. I'm sorry for wasting you guys' time. She's like, listen, just fill out the application. You never know. Listen, y'all, when they say you never know, it's such a God thing. Like, we are so hard on ourselves. We only believe what we can see. But faith tells us that we believe the things that we can't see. We put our trust in him, not in man. And so something about it was like, girl, just go ahead and do it. So I remember filling out the application. So I go back to work, and I remember praying so hard at work. I was like, God, if this is for me, Lord, show me. Like, I don't want to say I'm not ready, because I don't want to block any blessing that you're trying to bless me with. So if it's for me, then show me. I need you to show it to me, because I'm not going to be able, I can't see it from, I need you to show it to me. So the guy called me that day, and he said, I wanted to let you know that your credit score is great enough for you to be in our new home buyer program. And I'm like, new home buyer program? Like, what is that? He's like, so in our new home buyer program, we have a free credit repair program where if you have at least a 600 credit score, you will be entered into the program. We will have a credit repair specialist reach out to you specifically, and we'll go over the things that we need to do to help you get them removed off of your credit. Now I'm thinking, God, you are too much. I literally thought, like, are you really gonna like I didn't have the money at first, but you're really gonna bless me with this, like someone to do it for free? And I'm like, well, I thought my credit score was at like a 574. He's like, no, your credit score is at a 602. Now, mind you, I needed only a 600. And so I'm like, okay, tell me more. And so he's like, so we will align you with the credit repair specialist. All we need you to do to start the program is to go and put your down payment on your home. So I'm like, wait, on my home? Wait, what? And he's like, yeah. And so here's what a lot of people don't know. These builders, if there are particular builders all over Houston, that have these home buyer programs, incentives included in their packages. Why? Because they need us just as much as we need them. They want people to buy their homes. And if we don't go to these things, we will never know. They have free credit repair specialists there. So the lady explained to me that when you come and put down the money for your home, what will happen is you will first pick out your lot. And then they will start to begin to build your home. And while they are building on your home, the credit repair specialist will assist you with building up your credit. So by the time you get ready to close on your home, your credit will be where it, or should be where it needs to be. If you work like you're supposed to, faith without works is dead. Hint. If you work like you're supposed to, your credit will be able to align with you closing on your home. Okay. So for a FHA loan, they want you to have at least a 640. I was at a 602. Okay. And for some of them, they only want a 620. So I'm like, okay, I can do this. I'm at a 602. She said, bring in the money for the down payment for the home, for the land. And I'm like, oh Lord. Okay. So let me fill it. I'm like, I really don't have the room. So I call her like, hey, I really don't. So here's when self-doubt kicks in. I'm like, I really don't have the room, to pay out, even 1,000, because I'm trying to save more. We have bills that we're still paying on. And she's like, oh, just bring 500. What? Really? Like, God, you really gonna work this thing out for me? Like, okay, bet. So me and my husband, we get in the car, we go and bring the 500. And then that day, mind you guys, the beginning of October is when, I want to say the end of September is when we went to go with the realtor to look at the houses. Y'all, by October 31st, we picked out our land. Like, we picked out our land for our house. At that moment, I was just like, listen, when it's truly what God has for you, He will make a way out of no way. I mean, all the bumps that we kind of went through, and he still managed to just work it out. Like, I got you. I'm gonna make it work out for you. But that's not the end of the testimony. That's not the end of it. So we go and pick out our land. I remember every week, y'all, hear me, I would go to the land. I mean, it went from just like the brick, just like the framing. I would go, baby, I would stand outside and I would pray. I would pray for that house. I'm talking about pray, you hear me? I would pray because one part of me was like, this is your home. But then the fleshly part of me was like, you don't know yet. You don't know what could happen. So you got to be careful with the fleshly part. You got to be careful with self-doubt, because it will creep up on you. And you got to be so embedded in your word that it doesn't have an effect on you. You understand? Like, it's okay for us to have some days where we're like down or we feel it, but it's not okay for us to stay there. We got to climb out of that thing and keep pushing and keep moving forward. And every day, y'all, like sometimes I go like 2 days a week and my husband be like, where you going? I'm like, to the house. He like, babe, it's I'm like, I know, but I need to go. I needed to be there to pray over it, to see it. I remember seeking godly counsel, and they would tell me, all you have to do is believe. See, manifesting isn't this crazy thing where people is like, you gotta do this. You have to do something extreme for God to bless it. All you have to do is align your actions up with God's will, so that God's will, what He's already showed you, will be able to be manifested. That's it. It's just believing. And even when you don't know, How you're continuing to move forward. You're continuing to do what he tells you to do because your faith is saying, if I just hold on to his promise, if I just hold on to his trust, if I just continue to move forward and don't look back, something is going to be on this other end for me. And if it's truly, truly God, if it is what I know to be correct, then it's going to be something freaking amazing. And so that's what I did. I continue to believe. I continue to pray. One main thing that I can also encourage you guys is that what me and my husband did. We didn't share it with anybody. We didn't share it with family. We didn't share it with friends. We didn't, and this may not be for you, but this was for us. We didn't share it with anybody, and it wasn't because of no one else. It was because of us. I couldn't afford for anyone to tell me, Phaedra, this is crazy, don't do it. Phaedra, do you have enough money? Phaedra, they say you need 10. I could not afford for anyone to deter what God had already told me. It didn't matter what I seen in with my physical eye, because he had already given me a promise. And see, sometimes when you tell people what God has told you or showed you, they're not able to believe it like you believe it. So you got to have that stupid, dumb faith that tells you, I don't care what I see. I don't care what my mind tries to tell me. I don't care what the devil tries to tell me that I don't. I don't care what my mom didn't have. I don't care what I don't have. I do not care, because what God has promised me, I'm holding on tight to it. I'm holding on tight to it with every fiber in my being. And there's nothing that no one can tell me to make me to believe different. And so you use that as fuel to get through. You use it as fuel to continue to push forward, and that's what I did. I believe it with my whole heart. That's what I did. So, fast forward, January, my home was finished. By January, y'all, my credit was at the 630 mark. I honestly only needed like 620. Mind you, that was in October. October, November, December, January. So within 4 months, my credit had went up. There was a down payment that I needed, and that was fine. And my mortgage, it was a 3-bedroom, and my mortgage was right at my budget. And so we go to do the walkthrough, and oh man, we went and did a photo shoot and everything. Do you hear me? And we get in there, and they're calling like, hey Faye, we need this paperwork, we need this, and da-da-da. So me and my husband are scrambling. I mean, while we're in this house doing a final walkthrough, because that's what you have to do. A final walkthrough to make sure everything is like, looking great with the house. So we're doing a final walkthrough, everything. So they're like, okay, well, closing is at 11. So we do the final walkthrough at 9. Fast forward to closing. So we're on the way to closing. They're calling us like, oh, we need this paperwork, we need that paperwork. So I'm like, okay, let's get that. So I'm like, oh my God. So I call my realtor. I'm like, have you heard anything? And they're like, yeah, they said they're going to push it to 1 o'clock. So we go to the store. I go and get a present for my realtor, because I'm like, oh yes, oh my God, I'm so excited. We get to the closing office, and they're like, well, they still haven't sent over the paperwork. So I'm calling them, and they're like, oh, one person's telling me this, one person's telling me that. So we go to, they had some model homes. So we're like, let's just go walk the model homes. Everything in me was like, if I could be honest, was like, this is not happening today. But then everything in me was like, but I remember what God said. I remember God's promise. And we get back to the office after looking at the model homes. It's 2:30 p.m. I get to the table, and they're like, Miss McMillan, they were not able to get all of your paperwork. There were some things that were not approved. There were some things that we still have to take a look at for the final deciding factor. And at this moment, we're not able to close on your home. I remember feeling like just so like distraught. Like, I came so far. Like, I came so far. Like, God, you promised me. Like, what? I remember just like, I think I cried for like a day. I remember crying for like a day. Like, I wasn't disappointed in God, but I was like, I thought that did I think that, you know, you're like, did I think this up on my own? I know I didn't, because you showed me visions of my home. You showed me like the big windows, and I'm like, you showed me this. But if I can be honest, the house that I had, it wasn't like the one that he showed me in my vision. And so I remember, I specifically remember that same night, like, Lord, I don't care what they say. I still feel like you're going to bless me with my house. So if you told me no on this one, my God, what do you have for me? And I remember, God, I remember my pastor preached a sermon, delayed but not denied, that following Sunday. And I held on to that with all of my might. And I remember every day, scripture, every day. Not like I was just perfect in the scripture, but I just needed to hear it, because my emotions were so over the place. I could not risk getting out of line with his will. I could not risk letting my emotions take over what he already promised me. And I knew that there was more. But it's already 30 minutes into this thing, and I don't want to be so long-winded that you guys are like, this is too much. There's gonna be a part 2. There will be a part 2 to this, and I swear it's gonna be something that you do not want to miss. I want to thank you guys for being here this long, for tuning in this long. Please tune in for my next video, which will be part 2 of manifesting my first home. I am grateful, thankful, and honored. See you guys next time. Bye.